Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guy. This is another episode of the C programming series, and in this video we are going to learn about for loops and how to use them in our C program. So let us go ahead and revisit the Hello World program from the very first video. So we are just printing a simple message to the screen, nothing special. Now let us assume that you need to print this message not once but multiple times, let's say 5 times. So you might go ahead and just write this 5 times, just copy and paste. If you need to do it 10 times, you might go ahead and do it 10 times. But let's say that you need to do it 100 times. You can't possibly go and literally just write 100 statements to put something to the screen 100 times. So far we have been in this on this channel on in this series we have been learning about different kind of control flow things, like we have learned about conditionals that allow things to occur only if certain actions occur. So there are basically 3 types of control flows. One is sequence, and that's pretty simple because as soon as we go like from here to down, it will execute all of the code in a specified sequence. So it will never, like, for example, execute the last line first and the first line after. No, it will go in order, and that's basically the default behavior. And you can also add conditionals, which is includes switch and if else statements. For that we can we just saw them in the previous videos, and you can go check them out if you want. And the third thing is repetition, which allows us to do multiple tasks. And repetition contains actually 3 kinds of loops, but 2 are most commonly used, and we are going to learn about the first kind of loop in this video, which is a for loop. So let's go ahead and remove all of this, and now let's go ahead and try to replace this extremely bad code with some efficient for loop to simplify our code. So in order to actually create a for loop, all you got to do is go ahead and say for like that, and then go ahead and we can like we do with the if statements, we put a pair of parentheses. And what you need to do is a for loop, instead of like taking just one argument for the condition, it takes 3 things basically that you need to provide to a for loop. It consists of 3 statements, a for loop, when you make the for loop header, whatever you wanna call this. So the first is the initialization. Normally you create a variable called, let's say, call it I, and set it to some value. Now this is basically, you can put any statement in here. You can literally just print hello world, and this statement basically means that it runs when the program actually starts. And the second one is the required. It is the condition. This condition, you can actually skip the first and the last ones, they don't really matter. And the second one is the condition, and the second this condition basically tells us if while this condition is true, if this condition is true, then continue the loop, else stop. And we can go ahead and say I plus plus here. This final one is something that is that runs at the end of each loop. So when whatever the code in our loop completes running, then it executes this particular line. So this is the basic form, and of course this is the basic kind of format of the for loop you would normally use if you want to just do something for a certain amount of times. And this is, you can actually adapt this to any kind of thing you like. For example, you can replace this initialization with everything. You can replace this condition with something completely different. These two, the first and the last one, only need to be like any statements, and this needs to be any expression that returns basically like true or false, or actually 0 or 1. In C, true is represented by 1 and false is represented by 0. Anyways, so you can see that this is basically the basic structure. And of course we are not adding any curly braces here, because we have got like only one statement. But if you had multiple statements, you would add curly braces and put everything inside that. And this program should effectively put everything actually output everything to the screen 32 times. One last thing though you need to remember is that this variable I is created only in the for loop, and it stays in the for loop. You can not use this variable outside the for loop. If you want to, you can just create the variable here and skip this entire thing. But this is a variable that you can use inside of the for loop just like any variable. So I can go ahead and say d and D, and then put a column here. and we can go ahead and add this here, and you can go ahead and say something like the actual I here, and that's it. And this is basically it for our basic program. And yeah, this was pretty much it for our video, and I will see you in the next video, in which we will learn about while loops, the other kind of loops which are pretty similar, but we'll learn about them, and then we'll get on to learning some more thing apart from just the language. We will learn stuff like advanced input and output, and like loading stuff from file and stuff, and a bunch of other things, and we will of course apply this knowledge to create practical applications. So I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe because you don't want to miss out on this series, and also make sure to share this video with other people, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.